Alright, good evening everyone. System Shock here with the 60th episode of our run through Book of Hours, first YouTube run through Book of Hours, and I'm recovering from a pretty brutal weekend, and that's been kind of creeping into the playthrough in terms of mistakes, but we are at the tail end of the challenges. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll let Mrs. Kill... I'm going to see if she gives me an impulse out of this. If not, we're going to use the core to generate the impulse, at which point we will hope that the shaft has enough to... we're going to hope that the shaft has enough time to level up Edict's Liminal and kind of get out of the way. I am also going to take the time, though, to read a few more paintings. So we've got the Velvet, and we did see an image of the Velvet down here. An hour of secrecy, ignorance, privacy, shame. The Velvet has never encouraged insight, investigation, or worship. Even an image of her is unusual. The Velvet, the glory is a question, and the Moth always answers yes. The Velvet's answer is no, and that is always her answer. Investigate the object. Yeah, at this point, I'm relying on the name day riddle for my last little bit of Moth, so that'll be available within the next minute. She gave us satisfaction, so now we turn to whatever desk will take Heart or Grail, so we'll use Ava's desk in this case. And we have a nice big new impulse section here, so I didn't really have a proper order for these things, so let's just start Traveling at Night Volume 1. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So in a minute, yeah, we should be fine in terms of what we need for Edict's Liminal. I was probably getting a little too panicky, but it'll take us 30 seconds with the shaft to level it up once we have the memories that are required. And if I'm lucky, I might be able to combine the storm and all the heart stuff into something. The Velvet is the hour that keeps secrets, and this painting has no more secrets to share. Okay, so let's get the last of the infirmary images out of the way. So investigate this object. You won't use the sump or concealment by doing this, and that's the Sister and Witch, which is different from the Witch and Sister. There it is in Camino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. So this is just so I can preserve a memory. Night has fallen, dawn will come soon. So 18 seconds and we will have what we need. Alright, the Sister and Witch. The Sister and Witch brings together what cannot be apart. She is sought beneath the moon and at the water's edge. She is pearl, amber, coral. She cannot be touched. She cannot be separated. Abbot Geoffrey recorded a prophetic dream. Two women, one in violet, one in white, gathering seashells. The white-clad one, he wrote, handed him a shell and reminded him that one cannot keep what one cannot hold. Excuse me. The best I can do here, I guess, would be we take the memory storm and the storm itself. Well, that still gives us the... Let's give it a shot. That was mostly just to lock away the element of the soul so that I didn't use it in the consider verb at the worst possible time. Is this a way to the wood? But perhaps the wood is not a suitable place for a librarian. Named a riddle, a deceptively intricate riddle that might just teach us who we really are. Gervenius van Loren was notoriously fond of these. So this is another option that I could have used to open the Stare Tenebris, but certainly it's not required at this point. We used the music instead. All right, Traveling at Night, Volume 1, The Annotated Dream Journals of Christopher Alopoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist, literate, entertaining, bewildering. The wood lies outside the walls of the Mansis. As any student of the histories knows, the Mansis has no walls. Alopoli describes how he came to make repeated visits to a dream wood via what he calls silver dreams. Trying to think your way to the wood, he explains, is like thinking your way to being in love, but I did find a secret that helped. Some impulse. It doesn't exactly make sense, but I understand it anyway. Statement often true for this game. Okay, it's actually one of the things that I like about the game. So I realized that I've been talking a bit less. I started off the week by just kind of talking a bit about a bit of reading that link, just kind of hooked into a perspective on Book of Hours that I didn't really fully appreciate, or maybe I appreciated it kind of in the back of my mind, but I hadn't really made it explicit before. But one of the things I really liked about Cultist Simulator, and I think this is true for Book of Hours too, is that when you spend enough time in the world, there are some things which you can't really... It's like creativity, right? Like, the problem is nobody really asks me my opinion about creative stuff. I notice, like, everybody kind of wants the version of the where do ideas come from answer. And I am kind of, I guess, arrogant enough to actually think there is probably something resembling an answer to that question. Now, I'm not going to suggest, like, what people want is, like, the way to be able to write good stuff. And the way you write good stuff is, you know, you work very hard, and you have a good eye for things, and, you know, a bit of talent, and the idea is usually not the thing holding a promising project back. But you know, one thing that is very common, right? I think everybody could kind of relate to the idea of, like, going off to the, you know, taking a shower, or going for a run, or doing something, and then the idea sort of comes to you, and what was it? Fortune favors the prepared mind, or something along those lines. And to a certain extent, I really do feel, at least when I have had the experience of, you know, a good idea coming from somewhere, and me also being kind of conscious enough of the fact that that question does sometimes come up, and it would be nice if I could offer an honest answer to it, even if people aren't asking me, that, you know, if the topic comes up, to be able to offer some consideration on the item. And, you know, again, it's fair to say that there's probably something about the idea of just a problem being worked on in the background, a little, you know, in the same way that I don't think about breathing, or, you know, there will be some times when, actually, you know, the best, I could use Cultist Simulator in this case. So the idea of working, right, curl your hands into the correct shapes. There are just some things that you probably do at work that you don't think too much about, and they're actually what make you good at that job. It's not that you're being careless. It's that you have developed a set of systems that are, I suppose, analogous to, you know, tying your shoes might be another example to that. Like, you just kind of do it after a certain age. And so again, like, while you take the time to sort of think of the problem, and then sometimes you'll just kind of go off and do something, and then, you know, when all of a sudden the quote-unquote idea just comes to you, well, nothing of the sort is actually happening. It's just that we're not consciously thinking about it, and so all of a sudden it feels a lot more mysterious than it actually is. So it's a terrible account of creativity. Nobody's going to feel inspired by that, but it will serve the purpose for the stream. And yeah, the main thing I wanted to talk about here is that clearly this world is communicated through little fragments. So even if you're not playing Cultist Simulator, you know, the best that Book of Hours gets you is the opportunity to read and reread texts, whereas Cultist Simulator, you get to read it once, and then it's just the fact that you die a lot that means that the text kind of keep coming back. And yet, if I'm honest with myself, there are a lot of times when it has felt right to put a couple of cards together, right? It just sort of feels like, yeah, this feels like kind of a Grail thing. Or I can't really tell you why, but it definitely feels like it would be appropriate for me to put, lantern, I guess, kind of opens everything. But, you take certain aspects and it just makes sense to connect them to one of the doors. And that might even be before you read the text that says, if you use this certain aspect, you'll be able to open up the spider's door, let's say. And how do I put it? So, I mean, number one, this is just something I really like about the Book of Hours setting. Or the Secret History setting, rather, of which Book of Hours and Cultist Simulator are entries. But that is also true for, sorry, wrong shelf, but for the Impulse. Like, I'm wondering to a certain extent if Impulse appears so much in terms of these different texts for the very reason that it's actually an accurate description of most of the things you encounter in the Secret Histories, which is, I can't quite consciously tell you why these things sort of fit together, but they really do seem to, and I'm just going to work with that. And I actually think it's a completely legitimate way of reasoning through these games. I'm going to take a second here because, well, we only need 8, so yes, we definitely have that. And then for Callicite Supplications, so Desires and Dissolutions gives me 6. Yeah, so I have what I need for all of these. And I guess we haven't improved anything. Or no, we've improved the knock, so on imperfections should be easy. Yeah, so these 4 should be straightforward. And then the Ivory Book, Ettery After, Second Glory, and the Radical Measure are question marks. I don't really know which one of these I need, but I'll keep with the gossip. So I'm slightly tempted to try the same thing that we did last time, which was open up all the books, and then work out a game plan based off the memories that come up. Now, if we are at the point here, if I get something higher for Edict's Liminal, I don't think I have a chance to actually be able to level it up. Alright, Daybreak, memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. Yeah, I think I am going to bring in Mrs. Kill. So Mrs. Kill's mood always improves when I drop by. If you don't choose a topic, Mrs. Kill will offer help as a friend. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. So let's go to Ava's desk. We're 9 of 8, that's fine, so I can master this mystery. Now on imperfections, so we're 6, 8 with the Shapt, which means I still need 2 more knock. Now, unless it's a foggy day, yeah, I think I'm just going to read the book for the pattern because we know we're not going to get that from Mrs. Kill. So we can use the FET for that. This FET doesn't give me a whole lot of money otherwise. And we will read Cardia's Delights. I'm also going to do my sneaky little make some money move here. So in a minute we should be able to do the rest. Now, it wouldn't hurt for me to... Well, I guess if in winter there's only one real thing that I can be picking up right now, and that's the Blue Crown. I think we'll wait on that for the simple reason that I don't... yeah, there's not a huge reason for me to be... Actually, you know what? There is one thing I'm going to do. We did finish the infirmary. In the 15th century, in the town of Regensburg came to Brandkrug. The brothers of St. Brendan's granted sanctuary, but would not permit a Jew and his family to live on abbey grounds. Still, they built this tower for him to dwell in and practice his healing arts. It has changed greatly since that time, but a place of healing it remains. So I think what I'll do here, there's lots of stuff for me to investigate, but I think I will restore the Faust after 41 seconds. We won't have it for today, but... the Gale... Maybe. Mrs. Gill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. Mrs. Gill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. So, I need to wait for the Thunderskin's paean to finish off. I will get... Yeah, so in 48 seconds we'll start on Imperfections. Then when I get the Drums and Dances back, I'll read the Geminiad 1. With Edict's Liminal up to 7, we should be able to read... yeah, it'll take a lot, but this is now within my reach. 14 knock is a little steep, though. I'm curious about 14 Grail, though. So what did we get out of this? 9. So I can bring that up to 10 with a tool, 12 with a memory, but we would still need something else. So, I mean, a rainy day, I can see this working. But yeah, we're definitely not at a point where I want to be messing around with the 26 Enticement, 7 Torments, which is fine. Now, there's an outside chance I'm going to be able to make something cool with... Yeah, it would be the dispensary, I think. I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. So I should have poured the water already. Pour out. So this is just prepping for my Faust restoration. Isle water from Brandkrug's deep springs. So I brought in Mrs. Kill for the simple reason that it's very likely that I'm going to be trying to level up a bunch of these skills pretty soon. So with Keeper level Heart, the paean is a precursor to Swaddled Thunder. So the ideal for me would be to do something like this. So we take Thunderskin's paean, we take the Gale, we take... Actually, you know what? We could combine 2 core like this. How brave do I feel right now? Well, actually, I can have my cake and eat it too. So this turns out to be quite useful. This is my first Keeper recipe, and the only reason I really knew how to do that was because of the hint from Thunderskin's paean, although usually you will get a hint from the description. So... but yeah, in this case here, Drumstorm potential into the weft to capture more heart aspect. Drums and Dances with Keeper level Heart plus Thunderskin's paean creates Swaddled Thunder. There's a reason why I am bringing that up. I'll show you later. There are Tiz and Camino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. So let's chat again. We don't know what lessons are coming up, so it could be anything. I am, however, going to bring this Faust back, so let's take the glass of water. We need 5 nectar, so that's rights of the roots. And that's 3 minutes, so we've got 2 fairly large chunks that are out of commission for the better part of today. But we will... we should still be able to get a few things done. In fact, I should probably take a crack at the Gemini now. So if we bring in the Solace, the drum... No, because yeah, the fact that I used the drums and dances actually just eliminated that as a possibility. Although I believe I still made the right call there. Wow, am I really that short on heart? That's nectar, but... Cake time. I can master this mystery. Alright. Life finds a way. So now I'm just sitting on a chapped Trist and Whist. Technically I'll get the metal back too, just because I'm using it to make a little bit of money. But the hope here is that we get more lessons for things that we don't already have lessons for. Or at least ones that are fairly simple to bring in. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. So let's bring the metal back first. It is winter and the storms have tightened the seas. I am sitting before the fire in the sweet bones of the beef and potato pasty in one hand and a hot ale posset in the other. Alright, Cardia's Delights, the third volume of Abbot Geoffrey's hypothetical theological dialogues in the Socratic mode. If Janus were an hour, Cardia might be counted among his names, but the world has never turned in such a manner, so she is not. Geoffrey discusses the living signs, signs which change their shape and whose flexibility is part of what makes it identifiable. He gives as one example the paradox of the hinge and draws comparisons with the names called the twins, who would be considered hours beyond the church. He hints at the amethyst vessel, which can be sanctified by great signs in the presence of Nock. Should maybe take a quick second to follow up on that instruction. We're not killing it on Nock, but we should be able to at least go a little higher than... Curious hunch, huh? Obviously, I'm not going to blow the candles on that, but... okay. So we were waiting to be able to read on imperfections with that, so let's go to the Vagabond desk. Nock, a gate flung wide. I am a match for this book, enough Nock to match Mystery Nock. But yeah, so Gemini Volume 3 is on the to-do list, but I've gotten myself something that will finally allow me to read De Motu Corporum Veditorum, which is one of the reasons why I am also restoring my Faust so that I can have something reliable for Sky. There 'tis in Camino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. Now, in terms of books, so notice kind of how the week turned out. With the addition of Fusine, we were actually able to get through quite a few books, and more importantly, there are a couple of skills which I've moved up to my top level. So in terms of what I've had available to me, a lot of what we've been working with are just simply books that have become available and previously weren't. But we also have a fair crack at some of the ones which I said were, okay, you know, if the weather turns in our favor, maybe we'll try that. Like, we still have some outside options in terms of taking a risk with a few books. But if I want, I can also sort of turn around and say, okay, now I'm going to direct my attention back towards things like the wheel-filled spring and such. I definitely kind of want to move towards the Cougar bit if I can, but that's not a major preference. Also, it's worth mentioning I should actually be cataloging the books as well, but again, I'm at a point where right now I'm generating a whole lot of lessons and memories, and I want to get a clear idea of I want to get a pretty clear idea of what I'm working with before I... Better now. I basically like to have a clear idea of what my challenges are, so I think this is going to be a satisfaction. Before I commit to restoring elements of the soul or trying to move up certain rooms. Okay, so we've got Calislate Supplications, prayers addressed to the Red Grail by the Sisterhood of the Triple Knot. If we should remember not, let our children remember in their redmost dreams. One prayer describes how a sufficient Grail aspect can be used with the Tridisma Hyra rites to give a little life to a doll twisted from fabric. This is actually one that's puzzled me a little bit because I haven't been able to work out how to combine Tridisma Hyra with the loom, which seems to be the only thing that can add the fabric, but that's a conversation for a different time. Looks like I need a new shelf for the satisfaction stuff, so let's move... I don't think this is going to be an improvement. Yeah, not really, so put it on the longer shelf for now. Actually, this is feeling a little empty, so... For now, I'm going to settle for, whenever I reshelve them, I'm going to rearrange them by color until I choose an alternative system. Okay, so for Tridisma, oh, we do have it. Okay. That's a pretty obvious one to start off with. Just trying to think if there's something clever I can try and do with like the gossip, but there's always more to learn. Improve the skill to level 2. This will increase its aspects, which will help with crafting and make it suitable for higher branches in the Tree of Wisdoms. So what I think I'll do as an alternative, I'm just going to make sure that I restore the Arab at the Sweet Bones, because we know we're going to need that for another level. It is winter and the storms tighten the seas. I am sitting in the fire before the fire in the Sweet Bones with a beef and potato pasty in one hand and a hot ale posset in the other. We'll see what Mrs. Kill gives me. And of course we have other books that we're reading right now, so it may turn out that there are... Hey, there's the stolen secret we were looking for. That winds up helping us with Tridisma Hyra. So there it is in Camino Tizard. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. So, I don't even remember what texts we're currently working on. So yes, we do have at least one more. 2 more, I think. Yep. I'm not expecting miracles in terms of what I can actually do. I've been kind of lucky that with Tridisma Hyra, this was something I could turn into a level up pretty quick. So the skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. The rites of the Sisterhood of the Triple Knot, which include certain mysteries of the dwellers in the wood behind the world. So we're up to level 2 here, and then move Inks of Revelation down because this is eventually going to be level 3. And for now, we just wait. We're waiting on the Sweet Bones. So again, I have the option to sort of use any of these, but... Sleep, O thou tempest, for now... sleep, O thou tempest, for now bow thy head. Swaddled thunder, a storm swathed in subtle threads, ready to be released with a few judicious snips. Do not use it as a towel when going to the beach. Let's find a... I think this is an appropriately heart-like room. Okay. So, it will probably not be the this episode that shows it. So, on its own, it's fabric and fiber. Kilisimi, the woven language, is written with thread, not ink. There are, of course, other more prosaic uses for fiber, too. Upholstery can be more adventurous than it sounds. It is quite a powerful heart object, 6 heart, 4 sky, but because it is sky and fabric, there's actually not a whole lot of places where you can use it. So, but I did learn something rather helpful about this, so we should probably see fairly soon what that gets me, but again, most likely not this episode, because I just have other things to do. Excuse me. But we can at least wait for the Arab to come back so I can boost the Tradisma Hyra, and then we can see what we're working with on the Nox side of things. Okay, the Gemini Volume 1, a fragile manuscript, illuminated with the twin shapes of sad and luminous beauty, all with the phases of the moon. It might be as old as the 7th century, but the language Fusine is much older. Its cover is tooled goatskin covered with garnet. These pages outline the nature and the doctrines of an hour that weaves together the willing, an hour which is sought beneath the moon and at the water's edge, the sister and witch. The language is willful, naughty, poetic. It'll take some untangling. The first volume of the Geminiad reminds us that the sister and witch has been known to manifest as the witch and sister, and that this face is always hungry while the other face may heal. It implies connections between the sister and witch and the hours of the upper Mansus, especially the lunar hour called the Menascate, but it is ambiguous on whether the sister and witch is a Mansus hour proper, and it speaks at length about the sadness of the two who are one, the sadness that remains from their time as flesh. So that's a solace memory for us, and weaving and not working. Okay, so I'm kind of at the point now where I think it's reasonable to expect that the memories that I'm getting out of books are ones that I'm already familiar with, which is not a hardship. It does just mean, though, that there's more work after I read it, whereas before I could sort of often rely on a pretty easy time leveling up a given skill. So, first challenge is that I don't have any heart to level up weaving and not working with, and I guess the tryst is already claimed for Tradisma Hyra, so let's bring back the core, I think. At minimum we can get another level of weaving and not working. It might be a bit much to expect a second, though. Because the solace is really the only thing I'm worried. Well, hang on. Okay, so I get the solace and the memory storm. Yeah, I just need to bring back 2 core. No, I think we're good, actually. Depends on, I guess, how things go with Mrs. Kill, but... Alright, better now. And I will go a little bit later on this one just so that we can finish the idea. Okay, on imperfections. Pomander, Lightsmith, and Lantern Long describes the process of transinhabitation, which he calls a manifestation of imperfection. Lantern Long lack bodies, and so cannot normally leave the Mansus, but they can steady glint in the physical world by establishing a road of glass. Pomander notes with disgust that the Order of Long, called the Obliviates, refer to it as scrining, which he considers a debased term. Pomander explains the benefits of transinhabitation, that a lantern long can affect the senses and thoughts of those nearby, that they can even enter their spirits, and that they can employ the senses of those inhabited to experience again the scent of blossom and season. This seems to be what interests him the most. He insists that Lantern Long should only ever inhabit a mirror of silver, not silvered glass, but he declines to explain why. So that also gives us a pattern, and glass blowing and vessel crafting. Okay. Well, that pattern shelf was nice while it lasted. So I am going to move... Nope, that's the impulse shelf. Glass blowing is a new one for us, full stop. It is. Before I do that, I think I'm going to level up Trides Mahaira just because there's the possibility that Mrs. Kill winds up giving us another memory that's helpful. Although I'm trying to think how the gossip would help me at this point. There we go. I'm no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. Improve this skill to level 3. Okay. So if I can somehow get the shaft back as well... I should be able to turn glass blowing and vessel crafting into a level 2. Yeah. So the reason why I want to kind of run this to the bitter end is there is a very real chance I'm actually going to be able to level all of these up by the end of the day. It really just depends on how long things take at the Sweet Bones. And this is one of the reasons why... So, like, when I sort of turn things on, turn things off, in terms of elements of the soul to generate the big stack of change, this is really the main reason why, is for a day like this, just being able to have the option of reloading the elements of the soul without really thinking too much about it is a nice option to have. So this is skill is now level 3. Its power aspects have also increased. Now the tricky part here, there are other ways of achieving that too. So for instance, you know, I could commit more things to the Tree of Wisdoms. I could oops, sorry. You know, I don't need to... Like, effectively what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating a Glover and Glover, again, for myself, which is not always the most fun thing to do in a game like this. On the other hand... Timepiece recovery. Might have been an idea for me to commit the weaving and not working instead of the glass blowing, but... Oh, that is a real shame. That's fine, we'll still make it work. Oh right, I couldn't because I didn't have the heart. So that was never going to happen anyway. Okay, so this is the smarten up sound. So sounds to me like I can't... I don't think I can get it all today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick the can down the road on... weaving and not working. No, hang on. I can level that up once. Right, but I can't level up weaving and not working a second time, so I will bring back the core. The difficult part now is figuring out what to do with the remaining, like, metal and whist. Because it's pretty clear that I'm not going to be able to use this for the thing that I okay, well, no, one thing that I can do at the end of the day is read a book and dream on the solace, I guess. Okay, give it the time. So another leaf on the Tree of Wisdoms. We are all vessels. Let us contain only what will grace us when the light shines through. Thurza Blake. Okay, so for starters... for starters, let's do weaving and not working. So solace goes in there. Okay, that's spoken for. We're getting the shaft back. Let's see what Mrs. Kill gives me after 10 seconds. Okay, that's another solace. So this is the really, really tough part out of this. Because it's very easy for me to get a heart. It's more of a question of how long... Oh, I'm already getting this. Wait a minute. What about the shaft? Okay, I've obviously bungled this. Can I take the pattern with me overnight? Yes, I can. Okay, so I can crash land this if needed. So I'm going to use the Perugian Diaries to do a cheerful ditty as a kind of a get out of jail free on this. Oh no, I actually think I see the logic behind it. So yeah, I'm probably not going to have the shaft for the morning. But I see this working now. Okay, the skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased, but I am aware of the fact that this is going to be like a 15-20 minutes later than I'd planned. Sorry, I wasn't really thinking straight. But I am happy that I seem to be able to bring this all home. Okay, Night has fallen, dawn will come soon. So this... Okay, well this definitely tells me that I need to preserve the pattern at this point. And there's nothing really for me to do with the metal at this point, unless there's like a 30-second thing that's useful. So yeah, 17 seconds will be fine. But yeah, in this case, I'm just going to say sometimes you don't use every element of the soul. Oh, actually, there was a 30-second thing that I could do, and that would be to like look at an object, but that's not the priority right now. The priority right now is to get the item leveled up. I'm sorry, I should have read the text for that. As you can see, I'm getting in the silly and rushing mode, so. There we go. I'm no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. So what'll happen on Monday's episode? I'll have basically I'll have the pattern sitting for me in my memories for the morning. So we'll level up glass blowing and vessel crafting using Shapt. In terms of the things that I have immediately available to me, nuts. I forgot to shelve that properly. So Almanac of Entrances is a pretty easy one for us to open. We just need another pattern for that. Geminiad 3, I think we should be able to handle with Edict's Liminal. And then, depending on the weather, possibly Demotu Corporum Veditorum, but I do have something that will help me read that now. So I'm not too worried if the... I'm not too worried if we don't wind up with a storm tomorrow. It did just occur to me. Oh, it's 30 seconds, so yeah. You know what? I'll just leave it here. I don't think I'm that forgetful that I already have a pattern ready to go. But I hope this was worth your time over this week. Again, I do apologize for being a little off. I'm just dealing with the circumstances under which I'm recording. But it is, I'd say, for the good majority of people, whether you are lurkers or whether you reach out in the comments, I do notice a lot of you get it, and you're very pleasant to interact with, or at the very least, I see that little number pop up on the, how the video does. And I did want to take a minute and say thank you for that. So I try to do my best in terms of the videos, and because you have your options, I'm not the only thing to look out for. But it's always nice to also just acknowledge it at the time. I never want to take the viewers for granted, and certainly the fact that I've gotten a chance to sort of interact with a lot of very interesting people, or very nice people in terms of the comments and such, are one big reason why I do take the time to make sure that this stuff is recorded and hopefully available as close to the scheduled time, if not on the scheduled time, as possible. So it was worth saying that. I hope you feel that, because that's certainly definitely what I think. But I gotta wrap up. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I will try to make sure that I'm a little bit fresher for next week's episodes. For now, I'm going to get some sleep. Take care.